Second lecture. Dalit imaginations of independent India at 75 years. Today talk is annihilation caste at 75. Second lecture of this series. We are going to have a 12 lectures remain. We thought that because of 75 years, what are the situation? What is the situation we face? What are the development we got it in education, in employment, in economic development, in politics, in women empowerment, in so many areas. Atrocities. First, we had a lecture on atrocities. This lecture, I think, Rajsekhar ji, all of you know, he is a additional chief secretary of Haryana cadre, IAS. Not only that, he working for the Dalits and downtrodden people from 25 years in his official capacity and his academic and intellectual area. I think he wrote a book on Ambedkar, Gandhi and Patel. It is very, very eye-open about the political rights of Dalits and what are the issues Dalits are facing in political rights area. Another thing is he very key person in the Bhopal Declaration summit. I think it reached 20 years already over. Another thing is a very key role played in SCST Supply Act in United Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka and Rajasthan. Rajsekhar is a very active in the thinking group and Dalit intellectual group. Another important thing is he's a very active in the Ambedkar thought to understanding the Ambedkar of so many issues. That's why I welcome Rajsekhar to speak on this topic annihilation of caste in 75 at 75. Then afterwards, Patala Srinivas is there. I think Professor Limbadri will join us. Then I request Ramchandramurthy garu, Channabasavaya garu to respond on the issue. I welcome and I request Rajsekhar to speak on the topic.
And thank you everybody. Dr. Kankaraj garu, Ramchandramurthy garu, Malipalli Lakshmaya, Channabasavaya garu, and Karamveer garu, and the entire CDS team. This is a very beautiful proposal and an idea to have a lecture series. And we had Martin Makwan garu speaking last time. I really wanted to be in person and speak, but we thought it is also possible to have an online talk. The topic which was suggested and I also accepted is about the idea of annihilation of caste. In fact, annihilation of caste is actually an idea. Whether it is possible, not possible, whether how many years it is going to take place to do that, it's a very interesting idea. It was propounded and spoken about by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar he tried to speak in front of a Jat Path Product Mandal. He was not allowed. So on 15th May, he published it in 1936 as with the title of Annihilation of Caste. So the Maharashtra government published a Diamond Jubilee edition. This is a Diamond Jubilee edition, which is a single small volume. In after 75 years, 1936, 2012, they did it. And what I would like to speak today is that we will try to understand why, or have a relook at what Dr. B.R. Ambedkar spoke on annihilation of caste as an idea. And then, since then, how have we progressed in the last 75 years after independence? 75 years, issue comes up which is after independence. Now, what is the context of the idea of that has to come in 1936? Why Dr. B.R. Ambedkar spoke about all these ideas? What did he speak and publish in that? If you look at the time, that there was a very focused aspect of Mahatma Gandhi saying that Dalits are Hindus. Why was that controversy was coming in? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar tried to push in an idea that untouchables or depressed classes were a minority. He never pushed that idea or agreed to that idea. They were a part of Hindus. Now, this aspect actually came out during the Roundtable Conference. When Dr. B.R. Ambedkar met Gandhi for the first time, before going to the Roundtable Conference on 15th August in Bombay, he said, Gandhiji, I don't have a homeland. It was a kind of a rhetoric, and it came about later. But he said, I don't have a homeland. I don't think that is, I belong to anywhere. From that aspect, when during the Roundtable Conference, what is all Roundtable Conference? What was the primary focus of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar? Dr. Ambedkar only wanted initially the political representation for scheduled caste. That was the entire thing he pushed, whether it is 1919 document or later on his ideas and propositions before Simon Commission 1928. And in the Roundtable Conference, where he succeeded in the first round, he said, give us political representation with reference to our population. So, but if you look at the Roundtable Conference deliberations in the Roundtable Conference 2, there was what was called a minorities pact, where untouchables were depressed class were signatory to that. So the broader minority plank being enlarged, or for whatever reasons, where Mahatma Gandhi said that no, you are a part of Hindus. So in that context, when the communal award came in 1932, Gandhi claimed that they were a part of Hindus, and of course he did not agree to have a separate electorate. Separate electorate means that untouchables as a group are not a part of Hindus, they are a separate group. So if you look at the Pune Pact Agreement, 24th September 1932, what comes out? Gandhi offers the general seats to untouchables. What were general seats at that time? There were separate Muslim seats, separate Sikh seats, separate Anglo-Indian, European. When all these seats were there, the remaining seats were virtually Hindu seats. So within the Hindu seats, Gandhi offers the seats in the Pune Pact arrangement. So what was that arrangement? So Gandhi's final claim that untouchables were a part of Hindus. Now this happens in 1932. Several things happen in 35. Baba Sahib becomes a widower. Then in 1935, in October or October 14th, in a Yola conference, Dr. Ambedkar also claims that I was born a Hindu. I will not die a Hindu. That's a major earth-shaking statement he gives. Then comes 1936. By December 1935, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar gets an invitation from an organization in Lahore called Jat Paat Todak Mandal. Means Jat means caste, Jat Paat, Kulamata Bedalu, Bedinche, Mandala Oka society. So they invite, he said, okay, as a Jat Paat Todak Mandal, how would you, I would tell you to annihilate caste. So he writes about this document. Now this document became very popular. This document became very, very popular in the recent times because of Arundhati Roy's introduction to it and a larger volume of annotated being done by one of the publishers. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, if you see on the annihilation of caste, he expanded his idea. He really expanded his idea of annihilation of caste in his follow-up of writings. One of the major points he spoke about in Annihilation of Caste is the racial theory. He killed the racial theory of India propagated by people like Max Weller or the Aryan theory. It is very, very significant today. Later on, of course, people still talk about Mool Nivasi, people talk about Aryan theory. He disagreed. He says there is nothing about racial theory in this country. We were all the same. And he expands this idea in 1945 in a book called Who Were Untouchables and Who Were Shudras. In Who Were Untouchables, he very clearly says untouchables were a part of the regular society who were thrown out of the society. Or he says Buddhists were pushed into untouchability. There were various people who are, so he disagreed with the pollution theory or people doing unclean work only being untouchables. You have a lot of castes who don't do unclean work. For example, Malas in Andhra Pradesh don't do unclean work, but still why were they untouchables? So he also pushes in the theory of Buddhists. So wider aspect of it, he also does an anthropological work on nasal index and cranial capacity. And he says that people are all the same in this country. Only for various reasons, some people were pushed into some caste, some people were made into untouchables. This is a very significant aspect of his idea of annihilation of caste. So he kills the racial theory, and he continues to do it. Then he also talks about the curse of the caste in one of his writings. He says how bad caste is even within the Brahmins. How many varieties of 130 to 140 varieties of Brahmin caste were there at that point in time. We should also be rooted in 1936 to understand this thing. So he wrote extensively later on caste and religion. That is why those initial theories were rooted in this book called Annihilation of Caste. Now, one more aspect he talks on that day in 1936 was that if somebody was born as an Antyaja or untouchable, so howso learned he or she is, can he be accepted by the society? When he says about the 1936, he himself is the best example. that the learned man, India. So, but still, of caste in this country. He also talks about whether a political party can take about a political social reform. And he goes about arguing about these aspects. So he demolishes caste. Now, why we are talking about annihilation of caste in 36? He says, he gave several statements. He says that it is not a division of labor. The way people say that, okay, various categories are given various work. It is not about. He says it is division of laborers. There is a fixity of occupation. You can't climb the caste ladder. An individual is nothing in caste. It's a community aspect. So that is why very important even today to understand that an individual in a caste group, if you look at the honor killings, are insignificant to the caste group because the caste pride, when it becomes important. He says caste disorganizes the human beings, it demoralizes. So why he also defines caste, the caste is an antisocial spirit. It prevents integration of festivities. It prevents them to be a society. It treats women badly. He also, of course, talks about Muslims here. He says Muslims are cruel to women, but Hindus are far worse than cruel. He says Hindus are mean to women. So they are not a missionary group, they are not a Sangathan, they are not brave, they are indifferent. He says caste puts its own opinions or beliefs on the individual and doesn't allow the individual's opinion or belief. It kills the public spirit, it kills the charity. And finally, very importantly, he talks about that caste system is anti-liberty, equality, and fraternity. It's very important. So he later on develops this theory of evaluation of caste and the caste system ingrained in the religious texts as anti-liberty, anti-equality, and anti-fraternity. Of course, he says that if you have Chaturvarna around, you can't have annihilation of caste. He also talks about that. And he says he raises the issue of interkilling of Kshatriyas, and so he says with the caste system around, you can't build a social order, you can't build a community, you can't build a nation, and you can't build a morality. He says how to reform the caste. Why we are talking about annihilation of caste, and we'll go to the references, that this was the only document available in all these days which talks about annihilation of caste. There was no social reformer, there was no reformer who actually spoke about abolition of caste or annihilation of caste. So he initially talks about, in the annihilation of caste, about the fusion of subcaste, because subcaste within Brahmins also became a very major issue, where there were a lot of differences within Brahmins, whether somebody is a Saraswata Brahmin, Kanyakubja Brahmin, Gauda Brahmin, or a Udiya Brahmin, or a Maithili Brahmin, Aruvela Niyoglu, or whatever it was. So there was a differential Vaidikulu, or differential within the caste. So he says, what about the subsuming or fusion of the caste, subcaste? So Ambedkar suggests only one of the ideas as intermarriage. Remember, he when he wrote this speech, he was a widower. He lost his wife in 1935. So one of the ideas he gives was intermarriage. So later on, there was there were government schemes to give financial help to intercaste marriages. But of course, those schemes were only limited to social welfare departments, where if anybody marries a scheduled caste, they will get financial help on the intermarriage. So he talks about that whether there can be a reformer. Are we looking at since 1936 or even after 1950, was there a reformer in this country, a social reformer, who has looked at caste? Unfortunately, there was no such social reformer who looked at caste and talked about, we always talk about equality of caste. So he also mentions about the saints on Bhakti movement. On Bhakti movement, one of the funniest thing where he criticizes the saints, he says the Bhakti movement never said all castes are equal. He says Bhakti movement only said that in the eyes of God, all are equal. This is one of the significant aspects he brings out. In the eyes of God, all men are equal. But none of the Bhakti saints said that, all castes are equal, all men are equal. There was no fight actually for equality. There was only fight for that particular caste. You see, if you look at Chokamela also, Chokamela only prays to Panduranga, saying that, I'm like any other human being. Or even Nandanar praying to Shiva. So Dr. Ambedkar also talks about this. Of course, there is the aspects of caste even today is that intermarriage and also interdining. So interdining between two castes never happens. In North India, it is called roti beti. So when you join on roti and beti, that is intermarriage, roti is like interdining, then the caste breaks. So he also talks about that the political tyranny is nothing before a social tyranny or social oppression. And he says the reformer has to defy a society. And he says he would be greater than any politician who defies the government. So he says social reform can be two types, secular or on the religious. So the discarding the certain principles of the religion are very, very important. Now, one of the solutions which Dr. B.R. Ambedkar gave is the democratization of priesthood. At that time, he thought that the priesthood was dominant. So he spoke about that all the temples should be controlled by the government. Priesthood should be a job under the government. Thirdly, he says that there should be an exam to be a priest, and everybody should clear that exam. So he was trying to look at the diffusion of caste in front of temples, where if it is controlled by not exactly a single caste, but he was looking at a democratization of priesthood. But when we look at this whole aspect, one of the greatest aspect of Dr. Ambedkar's Annihilation of Caste was the response of Gandhi. It's very important that any issue is raised by anybody, if it is not responded to, the idea or the issue dies. Here, the greatest quality of Dr. Ambedkar was to engage with Gandhi. Also, Gandhi tried to engage because it was Gandhi who claimed and he pushed it politically that untouchables were a part of Hindus. So once untouchables were a part of Hindus, then annihilation of caste was to be responded by Gandhi. So Gandhi responded to this 1936 book of printed document of Dr. Ambedkar, and he responded in 2-3 times. On July 18, 36, he responded. August 15th, he responded. July 11, Gandhi responded. So he replied to Gandhi. Why we are bringing this is that this entire book of Annihilation of Caste, Dr. Ambedkar summarizes himself. Somebody writes a book and he himself summarizes. He says, I have spoken 6 points in this book, Dr. Ambedkar says. Firstly, that caste has ruined Hindus. That reorganization of Hindu society on the basis of Chaturvarna is impossible. In the sense that, for example, if you want to destroy caste, he says, okay, there are only 4 divisions. So even within the Brahmins, there are no various Brahmins, there is a single Brahmin. Even within Kshatriyas, there are no various kinds of Kshatriyas. Even within Shudras, all subsume all the castes and bring them under. Of course, we virtually did it as a list of OBC or scheduled castes. So he says it is impossible to bring them, and the sanction is enforced of Varna. He says reorganization of Hindu society on the basis of Chaturvarna is harmful. Hinduism, Hindus or the caste society should be reorganized on the lines of recognizing the principles of liberty, equality and fraternity. Baba Sahib also talks about a single religious book for Hindus. He says caste and Varna must be destroyed. The sanctity of caste and Varna should be destroyed by discarding the divine authority of Shastras. He himself briefs us on how to annihilation of caste. Now, this is the part 1 of our discussion today. On the part 1 of our discussion today, we have seen how an idea of annihilation of caste. In fact, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also says that, it is not that easy to annihilation of caste. Over the years, after 75 years of the Constitution. Now, why Constitution is important here? Constitution is important here because Constitution talks about one aspect, that nobody should be discriminated on various issues, including caste. Nobody should be discriminated on religion, on region, on language. Within that, the Constitution says nobody should be discriminated on the basis of caste. So Article 14, Article 15, Article 16, and including an article in the Constitution says that voters should not be segregated on the basis of caste. Very important. To that extent, we are fine. To that extent, Constitution talks about, but Constitution also talks about remedies to discrimination, where Dr. Ambedkar makes this up. So people talk about when annihilation of caste comes in, people say at the same time you are perpetuating caste by creating various categories for whom there can be various remedies to discrimination, whether it is OBCs, whether it is scheduled castes or tribes. Then how can we annihilate caste? And what have we done all these 75 years to annihilation of caste? One primary aspect which comes within the constitutional framework is that the Constitution never abolished caste. It recognizes the existence of caste indirectly by saying that nobody should be discriminated on the basis of caste. And Constitution also talks about reserved seats for 10 years, which will still continue, on the idea that where it talks about a list of scheduled castes or scheduled tribes. So where have the Indian post-independent society or the constitutional society move towards annihilation of caste, or are we really looking at this piece of document as a mere rhetoric speech? Does this give any solution, or can we take up this solution forward? On these issues, where intermarriage between castes was given as a solution, of course, marriage is a very individual's choice, where somebody wants to marry within their own caste or outside their caste is an aspect of individual's freedom. So to that extent that intermarriage, of course, he says that intermarriage should be encouraged. Now to that idea of annihilation of caste, the second idea of democratization of priesthood. We have not till today done that democratization of priesthood, where Dr. B.R. Ambedkar talks about it in Dr. B.R. Ambedkar talks about it in the Annihilation of Caste speech. Does it help today towards the annihilation? Maybe
we are not able to hear. We are not able to hear.
now, sir,
Yeah, now you are audible.
where did we miss the speech, sir?
Just-
Again, I am coming back to this.
Only 30,
Yeah.
only 30 seconds. Only 30 seconds.
Only 30 seconds.
Priesthood, on the priesthood, when Baba Sahib Ambedkar talks about democratization of priesthood, where he talks about, okay, government should control all temples, there should be an exam for the priest, and priest should be appointed by the government for a salary. So again, he is trying to, it's all an idea. At the end of the day, annihilation of caste or abolition of caste is an idea, but it has not been a movement in this country till now. People talk against reservation because certain categories get reservation. Now I hope people no more talk against reservation, because everybody has some way, indirect or indirectly, that kind of a reservation, including EWS. So when democratization of caste would happen, I welcome Professor Santosh Raut from Taiwan anyway. So have we gone ahead with the democratization of priesthood? Can that be an idea? Is it workable? Whether it been worked in certain areas, can that be one of the ideas to go ahead? Dr. Ambedkar also talks about there should be a single document for Hindus, which should be a religious document, which talks about liberty, equality, and fraternity. Can that be possible? Is the entire idea of abolition of caste or annihilation of caste can transform into abolition of caste? So as a constitution or as an India as a legal entity, did we go about abolition of caste? So is it possible to abolish caste? In the 75 years, we have seen caste has become a primary and a primacy of discrimination. So what government over the years, or our parliament or our lawmakers or the society, the civil society looked at, is to step by step stop or prevent the discrimination on the basis of caste. So that is why we had Untouchability Offences Act, Protection of Civil Rights Act in 76, then we have ST Atrocities Act, and also on one part. On the second part, provision of inclusion of these people through reservation, SC, STs or OBCs or even EWSs are not a part of a discriminatory group, but try to give reservation. Okay, if we had given reservation, you are given reservation in education, in jobs, maybe trying to run certain schemes of the government. So till now, as a polity, as a country, as a society, we have only addressed the remedies to discrimination which emanates out of caste through criminal laws. SC/ST atrocities is a criminal law. A person will be arrested, person will be put behind bars, and there is a system working on that, on trying to bring them as a representative group, and also trying to give them financial help. These are the three verticals where we went ahead on the discrimination. So are we as a society looking at a complete abolition of caste? I don't know the answer. A lot of people, you are all learned people. There are more learned people to looking at the annihilation of caste. So as a nation, we are addressing, as a society, we are addressing discrimination, but we are not. So it is something like we are giving a symptomatic relief like Dr. Kankaraju would do. He only gives a symptomatic relief. He will give a medicine if you have headache. If you have fever, he will give you Dolo. Then your fever will go down. But the root cause of that particular fever needs to be addressed, which is caste within the society. And how we are going to go ahead? Are we really in North India? You people know that at the end of the name, you will have the caste. So people know, but just by your name, which caste you are. So discrimination starts by the very name itself in North India, because everybody writes their caste across. So that is the first step. So can there be an idea that you want to abolish caste names? Is that an idea that we look at? Or somebody, in fact, one of the chairman of SC/ST commission, Suraj Ban, he was a politician from Haryana. He once propagated this idea. So can these kind of things can be an idea of towards our progress towards annihilation of caste, towards trying to in a way disappear, move away from caste? Or do we want to be completely imbued? Or is it an idea that, okay, as a discriminatory process, are we looking at say a caste census and enumerate people and says, okay, if you are so many people, you will get so much of reservation? Will that be suffice? Will that suffice? Can there be a democratization of finance in this country? Can there be equality between men and women? At the end of the day, are we moving as a society towards equality, liberty, and fraternity? That is the core idea on annihilation of caste as an aspect in this country. But the core idea is in equality between man and woman, the equality of man and man. Everybody to be equal in the society are moving towards equality, fraternity, and liberty. I think this is where I'll try to stop. And this is what, in my limited knowledge, I have tried to understand, that we are trying to give a remedy against discrimination through various aspects. And we have not moved as a country or as a society towards bringing down that very structure which discriminates one with the other. There is a mutual disrespect. There is a mutual hatred between castes. It is not between every caste. There is a kind of a suspicion between two castes. Whether we can break it through intermarriage, interdining, these are all the ideas. Or are we still looking at a reform movement to start in this country? Thank you so much, CDS and Lakshmi Garu. Thank you so much, and JV.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I think I welcome Professor Prakash Babu Garu, Professor Limbaji Garu, Professor Battala Srinivas Garu, Lakshmanan from Chennai, Anand from Delhi. Welcome, Anna. And Kore Vinay Kumar also is now. Ranjit. Thank you very much, Rajshekar. Open so many issues to discuss. After 75 years, we are facing so many problems with the caste, basically untouchability issue. Then what are the solutions? What we are went from 75 years? There were so many acts came, so many amendments also came to protect rights of untouchables and downtrodden like Adivasis. But regularly, previous lecture, Makwana told so many issues. Another thing, Center for Dalit Studies prepared a report on SC/ST atrocities from 1994. Because 1994, before that, we don't have a statistics in NCRB. In that 18,000, more than 18,000 murders and 33,000 rapes on our sisters and daughters. Whatever. Is all those things as going on. Then I open for discussion. First, I invite Korvi to open the discussion. Then whoever interested or whoever respond on this issue, are you same? We want to say something on this issue. Please respond. Now I inviting Korvi Vinay Kumar to respond.
Anna, thank you, Lakshmi Garu and Rajshekar. Jai Bhim to everybody. This is a interesting topic to discuss after 75 years of independence. The relocating the caste, the character of the caste, how it transformed from the centuries together. Now it is after 75 years. So there is a one observation I can clear-cutly I can open. One point is their caste for the to reduce the caste discrimination. There is a lot of enactments are framed by the governments at different times. SC/ST Act, Civil Rights Act, and other remedies also they proposed. When they are in force, sometimes it will be helping the people who are suffering from the caste tyranny. That is one point. My observation is the existing society has itself there is one case I can give you one example. In one case we went to the one village of atrocity happened in the village. One of our senior politician expressed his view. Yes, there are no doubt there are laws, but at the same time there is also the Kula Dharma. What is that? Caste. There is also caste laws. In the caste system is existing in the system. How can we see the two things? So when the laws are working against the system, against the atrocities and all those things, but the caste system, it has its own mechanism in the villages. Kula Dharmalu and Chattalu. This is one topic is there. One important topic is Manu Dharma is also internalized in the minds of the people. It is a Manu Dharma is internalizing and driving the society with that Dharma. But at the same time, our enactments, anti-caste laws, where the existing systems are operating by the administrative mechanism, administrative system, there is a conflict. That time, the political class is paralyzing. Administrative class is working with the enforcement of the laws, but the caste laws existing in the society, they are also operating with the society. The old caste system is operating, but in the same time, the political class which is a progressive class, which is a very prominent class, who made the who made the laws, that political class is paralyzed. So this is one challenge before us. The entire political class is surrendered to the society, not for the what they made the laws they are not implementing. This is one major challenge we should address. For that, what is our contextual strategies to address the political class in our effective implementation of the enactments? This is one challenge we are facing in the present context. At the same time, what Raja Sekhar Vundru presented is you, Baba Saheb Ambedkar, democratization of priesthood. The priesthood is now it is a part of the market economy. Now the culture of the religion is in the hands of the market forces. So how it will be irrespective of the one religion, the entire religious cults and the religious religion communities, now they are under the control of the market force. So it is one big challenge to us how to address this issue for democratizing the religious priesthoods. There is a big change. It is also one of the important challenge. This is a second challenge for us. Third one is basically the market economy and the consumerism, the commercialization of the entire process now taking place in the lives of the people. Is there any relevance of the Constitution and their values, and how the people are also thinking at the thing? In my observation, you have a SC/ST PO Act. In one case, there is a Supreme Court direction is given to the one particular case. Up to the 7 years, there is no need of the arrest. They given one judgment passed in the Supreme Court earlier, very recently. The entire country now the practicing in SC/ST PO Act is not effective implementation, because before up to the 7 years, after the 7 years of the atrocities cases who are booked under the SC/ST case, they are not arrested. They are giving the station bails. So the act itself is paralyzed. So this is not only scenario of the Andhra Pradesh, entire country this is practicing. So SC/ST PO Act is not in force. Actually, it is in force, but it is not operating properly because of they are interpreting the Supreme Court order. Supreme Court judgment as a preceded for the interpretation. Up to the 7 years, there is no arrest. So that's why we are not giving no more arrest for anybody. They are giving a 141 CRPC station bail. In the SC/ST PO Act, there is no option for the arrest anticipatory bail. But now they are giving station bail. This is a very sad condition. No political class, no administrative class, no social movements are not given any single petition to the Supreme Court. This is how this is acts are implemented. At the same time, in the context of the sub-plan, in the context of the framework changed by the central government, capital and revenue expenditure framework, plan and non-plan was removed. Planning Commission is abolished. In this context, the entire program of the SC/ST of marginalized communities are not getting in the process of the sub-plan as a tool to reduce their social discriminations. The entire sub-plan concept is also evolved. It is also dissolved. So like that, many things are happening in the entire administrative system. What are the enactments are made by the previous successive governments?
అన్న అన్మ్యూట్ అయిందన్న మీది, అన్మ్యూట్ చేయండి. మ్యూట్ అయింది.
రవి నువ్వు చేయి. హలో రవి.
Now they are encouraging the discrimination they are deliberately deliberately upholding the undemocratic mechanisms. This is in this context, what is the weapon? What is the weapon? What is the strategies we can adopt to address this caste discriminated society, the dominant society? This is a very big challenge to the grassroots level activism, and at the same time also who are engaged with these issues. Now it is a very, we are in dark actually. At the time of Ambedkar, at the followers of Ambedkar, we did a lot of work earlier, but now we lost everything. Without hope, we are working. We are not the entire scholarships. What are the scholarship, the provisions for the provisions of the intercaste marriages? Provisions are not giving. So they entirely the scenario is changed. Political scenario is changed. 75 years of independence. Now we have given a lot of challenge to the anti-caste movements, anti-caste social activism. At the same time, democratizing the society is a big challenge. The market itself playing a role. My point of view, market economy, now it is controlling entire constitutional framework. Now entire controlling the political class. Now entire controlling it is also compromising with the social structures. It is social structures, and they are giving a more and more oppressive mechanisms to the people who are fighting against the discrimination, untouchability issues. This is the very, very big challenge. I think Raja Sekhar Vundru is in administrative mechanism and also a perspective. We build a perspective of the liberation ideology of Baba Ambedkar. Can give a light on these issues? Is very and also any other friends also give light on this in the context. The market economy and the present context, the political class character, can we relocate and re-strategizing ourselves how to rebuild our anti-caste movement, anti-untouchability movement, or the anti-caste, anti-discriminative movement. We have a new strategies, new methods, new mechanisms we need to address the issue. I think Lakshmana, it is a right topic to address this issue with our what we are now. We are in the state of the not giving any proper direction to the nation. Can we rethink and relocate at ourselves? Revisit ourselves is a good topic. Thank you, Lakshmana. Thank you, Raja Sekhar. I will stop here.
Thank you, Vinay. Now I request Limbadri Garu. Then I welcome Professor Rama Melkota Garu. She is also present in this discussion. Akka, welcome. And anybody can respond.
Yeah, let me share a few things on the
Prakash Babu Garu. Okay, please.
Professor Lakshman Garu, I thank you for organizing such a kind of wonderful talk. And I really compliment Dr. Raja Sekhar Garu for his wonderful talk on this and giving real good examples of the society. Being a science graduate, actually, he is able to give such a kind of lectures. I really compliment him. He gave one good example, that is symptomatic treatment. So since I am also from the science background, let me also say the same thing. That is true. What he said, it's a symptomatic treatment by we are treating the suppressing the disease, but not addressing the disease. So that's what exactly happening. So for everything, there is some kind of antidote is being coming out from the system now, because it's a systemic disease. This is actually its grassroots are completely reached to the inside the person's minds. I agree that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar indicated that the intercaste marriages and all, but what is happening here is the Dalits, especially when the Dalits, when they are getting employment, good employment and all, so Dalits are able to marry girls from other communities, but this is not going in the other way around. So this should be done vice versa. Even the Dalit girls also should be married by other communities. Then somehow it will start diluting the caste factor. So that's one thing it's happening. The second thing is by removing the caste, even in some of the southern India, especially in Telangana, Andhra also, that is there. Prefix or suffix is there indicating the communities. Even it is extending to the even ladies also. They are keeping it as a social factor. So we do not know. So as a science graduate, I can give the problems, but I only social scientists should find the address the issues and all. So this is one of the important factor. Unless this goes, even economically, even the Dalits, when they reach to a certain level, also still people look into the community. When the community is not known, people will be restless until they find that somebody's community. So when somebody is identified, who is Prakash Babu, then they will think that who is Prakash Babu means they want his community, not his other things. So this is the system now. So I think some solution has to be there. So to do that, and the earlier speaker also indicated that how the Atrocities Act has been diluted. So these are all the issues that I think collectively we have to address. So thank you once again for arranging such a kind of talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash Babu. Thank you very much. Somebody is there?
Sir, good evening, sir. This is Srinivas Bottula.
Srinu,
Sir.
please.
Sir. Yeah. So first of all, I would like to congratulate CDS team, but on initiating this Dalit imagination on 75 years. That's actually very interesting. And the first meeting, our first lecture was on different topic, and today's lecture by Dr. Raja Sekhar Vundru on annihilation of caste and caste discrimination and all the historical aspect, how Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar looked upon all these things. I do remember one thing every time when we were in +2 and 10th class, we used to celebrate Ambedkar's birthday in villages. Some communist people do say that, no, you should not celebrate Ambedkar Jayanti in villages. You should come and try to join in our movement so that the movement would get a kind of national level thing. But what I feel, whatever the movement, that movement should come from villages. Actually, when I clearly said that the Dalit movement has sabotaged or somewhat it has become very silent in these 6-7 years. Thanks to Malibel Lakshmi Garu, despite of this vacuum, despite of this silence, you have been taking such kind of initiatives, particularly when we try to understand in the recent phenomena, the caste discrimination has been changed in different forms. If you see, when we work in Telangana, 2-glass system all was there. Now the caste discrimination has been changed in a different perspective. Like in urban areas, it is a different. In rural areas, it is different. In educational institutions, it is different. In health sector, it is different. So the caste discrimination has been changed. In economics, we try to tell that there's a proportionate, like when their education is increasing, the caste discrimination is also increasing at the same level. Like if you see in educational institutions, the kind of API or NEP, National Educational Policy, all these things try to sabotage Dalit communities, particularly Dalits we do not have access to publishing houses and all. So unfortunately, there is a discrimination. Like NEP also, it is kind of trying to develop working class and so on. Like in health sector, access to health institutions, access to hospitals. Like in these days, the hospitals have become like a corporate type of hospitals. Very recently, we have done one beautiful study in Haryana, Dr. Raja Sekhar ji has given a study on impact of ESA scheme on impact of ESA schemes, where the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, the percentage is very minuscule. The scheduled tribe percentage is only 1 or 0.5% in overall sample. So that's very interesting result we have seen. That means whatever we try to look at, whatever we try to think with regard to caste discrimination and all these things, it has to go to grassroots. That's very crucial actually. Thing is that to address all these things, one weapon is SCST-POA. But what is happening? This SCST-POA is not in all regional languages. When I worked in National Dalit Forum, this SCST-POA I have translated into Telugu during 2005. But so far, the SCST-POA has not been translated in all 16 languages or 15 languages. If we can do that, at least what are the provisions that are there in SCST-POA, the rural masses can be known. And also, unfortunately, whatever the problems that are being happening now, whatever the reporting by the media, all are from villages, whatever the issues. But clearly I've been telling, in urban areas, the discrimination is different. In rural areas, it is clearly bringing in notice and deliberate. So that's why we try to make awareness all the people in particularly rural areas by bringing some the SCST-POA in regional languages. Maybe we have to take initiative for that. That's number one. I've been thinking of that. Second is we need to think beyond intercaste marriages. Actually, thing is that fine, intercaste marriage, Baba Saheb thought that intercaste marriage is one of the solutions, but one IAS officer has done PhD on this intercaste marriages very recently in Telangana state, where the kind of provisions, for the provisions sake, some people do get into that. Some kind of the kind of success is very low when we work out. So we need to think beyond intercaste marriages so that we can at least try to address these things. If you know, Dr. Raja Sekhar ji tries to tell that roti beti in North India and all these things. But what I feel, this caste aspect within inside, for example, sometimes we are unable to, sometimes in wherever, very recently I've been to Kakinada, which is very advanced city. There people do give the rental accommodation for only vegetarians. What does it mean? The rental accommodation will be given only vegetarians, means only upper caste people to be, this rented accommodation will be given to upper caste people. That is, they're clearly saying this. So what we have to do, at least we need to consolidate the kind of grassroots level or village level, whatever we can do. We might do some kind of the vacuum, this vacuum ko fill karne ke liye, whatever the vacuum we have now visualizing. Actually, unfortunate thing is that for the last 10 years, the people are not being trying to discuss on these things. At least if we can think of all these things, it might be the best solution. That's what I've been thinking. Once again, thank you, Lakshmaya sir, and thank you, sir, Raja Sekhar sir, and other people for their responses. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Srinivas garu. Thank you very much. Now I request Lakshmanan from Chennai can respond. Lakshmanan.
Yes, sir. Jai Bhim. Jai Bhim to all. Jai Bhim to
Sir,
all.
I welcome Donta Prashant and Dr. Swati also. Thank you. Lakshmanan, please.
Yeah, I joined very late, I think, because I noticed the invitation late. Anyway, I enjoyed whenever Dr. Vundru sir speaks, he speaks with certain authority, certain conviction, and uh, and also having discussion with him is enlightening always. However, as I said, the state after 75 years, imagination of Dalit in 75 years, and we have to squarely discuss any Dalit organization starts any corner of the country. First or a second objective of this organization, whether even a letter pad organization itself, the motto should be annihilation of caste. That is the across the India the trend. What one of the very prominent scholar in Tamil Nadu, um, is the name is very prominent scholar who wrote Dalit politics in Tamil in 2002, uh, where he found there are three trends among the society. One, the Dalits are always wanted to annihilate the caste. The second layer, the intermediate caste organizations and the mobilization, they use caste as a instrument to uh, empower politically, economically, and socially and culturally. And the third one, saying there is no caste nowadays and caste are myth and it is not a reality, by which they have trying to monopolize the Brahminical order in indirectly. So this is a three set of trend in the last 75 years of independence. Further, if the caste what we see in last 100 years or 200 years after the census enumerating the population of the country started, where the British have done both positive and also enormous damage to the social system and social order. And our sociologists, anthropologists, still struggling to dislodge the what British have done damage. What British have done is they have enumerated and mono some kind of unification, as if the caste, the untouchables are untouchable, or scheduled caste in Tamil Nadu and scheduled caste in Kashmir, or scheduled caste in Uttar Pradesh are similar or same. And similarly, the caste was very regional and local specific during colonial time. But colonial state, what they have done was made it a caste into the some kind of uniformity for administrative or other purposes. And that is happened in the census itself. And we are not able to enumerate the population other than the caste. And also we are not, the state utterly failed, state, not only in state, I mean both in terms of the in terms of administrative class, academicians, and also the politicians, lawmakers have utterly failed to create an alternative category in a modern democratic system. We have enumerating the population on the basis of caste. Of course, we may say that only scheduled caste and scheduled tribe are enumerated, but not other. But now they have been caste census have been re-knocked again, and Baba Sahib Ambedkar was very clearly said that the population has to be modernized, and the rule of law should be established. annihilation of caste agenda was very much in the constitution, both direct and indirect. That is, rule of law should be the motto, and it should be the prime governing principle. But what happened after independence? The rule of culture has been taken over. Rule of culture is nothing but the Brahminical caste rules and norms. For example, the very first independent begins with this is what independent India begins. Nehru and his colleague, I'm quoting from Perry Anderson's Indian ideology. August 15, midnight, 14th, midnight and August 15, early morning, midnight, 12 o'clock, Nehru and his colleague sitting in front of the holy fire, with Nehru and his colleague sitting in the cross leg in front of a holy fire, and where the Brahmins from Kumbakonam brought a special flight to perform the yaga, and with their paws. The paws are putting the thermalian tilak in the foreheads of the leaders who are sitting in the fire, and where the auspicious date and time fixed by an astrologer, and in the midnight, Nehru stood up. India crushed with the destiny. This is what the political independent India was started. The first, foremost. Then comes the Somanath controversy. Then comes so many other controversies. That rule of culture and rule of law was till it is a contestation. So we have to, because it has a long complex issue, but Dalits have imagined the casteless society across the India, not only one particular region or other. Whichever Dalit movement, politics, and leaders have advocated and struggled, their underlying motto, the prime motto, is annihilation of caste and establish casteless society, which Babasaheb Ambedkar also did in his immensely capacity as a constant assembly member, drafting chairman. He has done directly and indirectly. But all this gone into the vein after we got independent, because the colonial administrative and colonial mindset has been with our ingrained, and we are not able to, not all colonial things we have to dislodge, but certain things we have to reconsider and reorient ourselves. And also, when the state is willing to address or wish to address the societal problem only in the lens of caste. That is the major flaw in the, because Ambedkar and Periyar and those days, they may not had enough opportunity or enough time to devise alternative category. But on this 75 years of independence, we don't have an alternative category to enumerate the population, and there is a possibility. We have to dislodge the registering caste or legitimizing caste in our legal system. How? For instance, if you have in the last 75 years in India, we don't have a category in census, landless agriculture worker. Landless agriculture worker. Only agriculture worker and cultivator we have, but there is no category called landless agriculture worker. Similarly, at urban areas, we can enumerate the population, manual labor, daily wage labor, and dislodge the caste category and registering caste itself. And the manual labor can be anybody, And similarly, landless agriculture worker can be anyone. Is maybe a Dalit or non-Dalit, Muslim, and so on and so forth. Which is possible, but our economists did not even bother to think about. Even our communists are bothered to think about. That is why the latest Baba Sahib Ambedkar's, the latest book by V. Gita, the question of socialist, Baba Sahib Ambedkar and the question of socialism in India. One of the classic work, how Baba Sahib Ambedkar being able to analyze the society in a multi-dimensional class aspect, which are hardly any Indian economists are able to interpret, which is, I'm suggesting all the participants, please kindly read this book, very, very classic work, Baba Sahib Ambedkar's question of socialism in India. So therefore, we have to, because this EWS is completely undermined the caste-based reservation and the reservation as a whole. So therefore, we have to think alternative category to determine the social, economic, political, and cultural backwardness, and not merely only a caste alone. And also, I replace the caste category into something else, not exactly class, but there should be something else we have to come out, or we have to discover, we have to identify to enumerate the population, not as a caste as such. That is the one of the prime initiative. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Sorry. Anybody is there to respond something? Otherwise, we can go vote of thanks. So before vote of thanks, I want to say one thing. December 18th will be third lecture on online. The subject we have to decide and let you know when 2 weeks after 2 weeks. Professor Limbadri garu.
Lakshmana, 1 minute. Lakshmana, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can I have 1 minute?
So you are the vote of thanks. Before vote of thanks, you have to tell something. You are the leader of the winding. Anybody
So
can
he'll have the
say
last word.
So, I want to before that some questions also came and some ideas came. Rajsekhar, can you respond, react on that questions, on those questions or issues?
Yes, sir. I'm just having a look.
I think there is no that type of questions in chat box, but we have some idea. Lakshmanan say something, and Prakash Babu say something in that.
These were all opinions. These were all opinions given, their ideas. I think it is not required to, but one aspect raised by is that whether the EWS reservation is the beginning of subsuming caste as an aspect. That is only a comment. That would be a part of a whole new discussion. I think we can go ahead with the rest of the program.
Okay. Kankaraj Garu, please, this is your turn.
Lakshmi Garu? Yeah. Sir, before going for the vote of thanks, I just want to congratulate Dr. Raja Sekhar Vundru Garu for the wonderful um, speech given on this very important subject, in fact, because annihilation of subject, annihilation of caste, I think that's a greatest um, book by the uh, greatest intellectual of our era, but it's given very little importance. So, one simile Dr. Raja Sekhar quoted regarding symptomatic treatment of disease process and this particular problem. Sir, biological evaluation, of course, it goes hand in hand with the uh, social evolution also, and the disease base is now carried to the cell level and then genetic levels. So much so that now the genetic genome studies show that 96, almost 96% of the genetic composition is shared by the 800 billion population globally now. In fact, this year Nobel Prize is given to the Swedish geneticist Stavro Pabo, because it's very, very significant finding of him that we do share. And I think this goes with the opinion of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar that we all carry the same genetic base all over the globe. And as the disease process is going down to the genetic levels now, like sickle cell now, which is found to be a single gene disorder, and we have cutting across the disease processes, we have a whole lot of chromosomal abnormalities and then multi-genetic disorders. So similarly, the problem of caste also, I think we have to go deeper and deeper. But the main problem is that it's not given the importance it deserves. See, for thousands of years, we have been subjected to this very heinous social tyranny, which almost blunted out the very evolution of this particular sect of people. Our whole biological evolution itself is curtailed. In spite of that, our people are now, they are shining like anything with the freedom given by the Baba Saheb's efforts. But now this meeting particularly put in front of us the very significance of this problem of elimination of caste. Does it simply go with elimination of caste, or as now Dr. Lakshmanan from Tamil Nadu, as he pointed out, we have to dig and find out the other means of social and biological and other financial factors which are impairing our emancipation in the subcontinent. So this is a wonderful second lecture given by Dr. Raja Sekhar Vundru in the series of this 75 years of Dalit imaginations of independent India. And we thank Dr. Lakshmi Garu for wonderfully organizing this meet. And then all the participants like Ramchandra Murthy Garu and Baswai Garu, Batul Srinivas Garu, Vinay Garu, Prakash Garu, Rama Molketa Madam, Srinivas Garu, Anand Garu, Prakash Garu, and the other participants. We thank everyone from the CDS camp, and then we welcome all our well-wishers and then all the followers of CDS family to be with us in our endeavors to bring out the related issues in front of you from time to time. Thank you all for your kind participation today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much to all.
Thank you, Anand.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Donta Prashant is there?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Very good initiative. Okay,
Where are-
thank
Lakshmana,
Vundru sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Lakshmana. Bye-bye, Lakshmana. Malika.
See Professor Ramaji. Thank you so much, Ramaji, for joining.
Thank you, Akka.
Over?
Akka, ఎట్లా ఉన్నారు?
Oh, Nene, I'm fine. But there's no time. It's closed now. I would have liked to make a comment.
అయ్యో మీరు నేను అడిగాను కదా అక్క.
నేను లేపిన చేయి 2 సార్లు లేపినాను.
నాకు కనబడలేదు.
Doesn't matter. Next time.
ఓకే ఓకే అక్క. థ్యాంక్ యూ అక్క.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు మేడం చెప్తే నాకు రికార్డ్ అవుతుంది సార్. కెన్ పాసిబుల్ కెన్ మేక్ ఇట్
ఎక్కలే అక్క, వద్దులే తర్వాత మనం మళ్ళీ అందరు వినాలి కదా అబ్బా.
That's okay. Okay.